Everybody, welcome to another episode of Personal Mastery Training, the Alliance this week. I've got the OG Dr. Charlie Cartwright, the original duo that we started here with when we started this alliance. And we're back. My two other brothers are out of pocket. They're busy doing their thing, but they'll be back. All right, so today, here's the conversation we want to talk about. As always, we want to talk about stimulate your mind, ideas, concepts that will get you thinking. And Think and Grow Rich. Remember that book, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. You remember he didn't say work hard and grow rich or whatever and grow rich. It's think. Thinking and rich. Rich also is not money. Rich is rich in your life, rich in your spirit, rich in your soul. And that's what we want to do, enrich you. So we're going to shoot an idea out. You take it. You agree, disagree. It doesn't matter. I just want you to think. Stop for a second and think. All right. So here's today's topic of conversation. I'm reading a book by Ryan Holiday. I love that guy's writing. The book is called Courage is Calling. And in my new book coming up, courage is a big piece of the new book because I realize in life, you can't avoid it. Courage is required. Courage is necessary. If you avoid doing courageous things, it's a life unlived, in my opinion. And courage will call you in the different ways to take action, to do something. So here's a quote, here's the wisdom, the little piece I took from many of the pages, but I took this one, hit me. He said this: we would like to think that we can make ordinary decisions and have an extraordinary life, but it's not true. Just think about that for a second. What decisions, when you think about your life right now and where it is, and I did a podcast on this many podcasts episodes ago where I talk about your decision is everything. Right now, your life is made up of all your decisions, and it's just you're one decision away from changing your life or from ruining your life. One decision, and you could have built up decades of great things, but one decision. We see it all the time in the celebrities where they come out, they lash out because they're in a mood at that time, and let their emotions take them. And one decision to say this thing or do this thing, and it just ruins an entire beautiful career they built because it just didn't make that right decision. So when you think about your life right now and you're thinking you're not maybe happy where you are right now, maybe in your relationship, maybe in your job, your profession, somewhere you're not completely at peace, wherever that is, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and you think, I'm avoiding a decision. I'm avoiding making a decision that's takes courage, that's painful, potentially painful. What can you do to make that? You can't have the exceptional, the extraordinary relationship, the special job profession that you want, the where you stand out, you become top of the heap. You can't have that extraordinary life or parenting or whatever it is you want, the exceptional. You can't have it if you're making or avoiding making big decisions that are game changers. If you're playing the comfort zone, then accept the comfort zone life. Nothing wrong with it. Accept it, but don't beat yourself up if you're not willing to have the courage. So that's where we're going to start. That's where we're going to roll out. And then I'm going to invite Dr. Charlie to share, because I'm sure he's got, if he looks back on the rest of his past life, where he is now is exactly that reason, because he made some, and I've known him for a while now, and I can attest that where he is right now in his life is based on some, at the time, massive decisions he had to make to change, to have the exceptional life he's living right now. So I'll pass the mic. Dr. Charlie, you're on mute, I think. Hopefully. Yeah.
Hey, I love the topic, brother. And it's true that An exceptional life, an extraordinary life, a prerequisite for that is making extraordinary decisions. And again, they're ordinary decisions with a little bit extra. And the thing I love about this concept is that it travels. And here's what I mean by that. I've been driving for 4 decades, okay? And I'm a very safe driver. I've had training, I work on it, I focus on it, and I travel all over the country. But that safe driving, those habits, those practices, they travel with me. So regardless of the state I'm driving in, I know that odds are I'm going to be able to navigate those roads and highways safely because my habits travel with me. So when you think about extraordinary decisions or extraordinary effort, that's going to travel with you as well. And so when you're making extraordinary efforts and you decide to make an extraordinary effort on making that decision to be extraordinary, that's going to travel with you. So if you change companies, it's going to travel with you. If you have to end a friendship and you have a new friendship, it's going to travel with you. If you have a new partner in life, it's going to travel with you, right? And so I love things that are always traveling with you because they give you the best opportunity for an excellent outcome. And there just can't be enough emphasis on how much impact making extraordinary decisions will have on your life in the short term and the long term. And when you look back, you won't regret making those extraordinary decisions. And it could be something as simple as changing your diet. Well, when you change your diet, you're getting out of your comfort zone. But you want to have an extraordinary level of fitness. Okay, well, that's going to require you to make dietary changes. It's probably going to require you to make changes in your exercise. But when you look back 24 months and see all the progress you've made, you will not regret making that extraordinary decision. In fact, you will embrace it. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, powerful, powerful stuff. I like this idea of the travel because one of the things I'm going to say here is life is that journey that we're going on, the travel journey. And to travel light, when you're young, you have a lot of energy to carry loads and whether it be resentment or anger or whatever it might be. But as you get older, the lighter your weight when you travel, the better, the more efficient, the more peaceful. You scream typical. I won't say everybody. Some people still love the drama. But as you get older, peace is our quest, inner peace. That's what it should be anyways. So this idea of decisions that you made, because a lot of things that we struggle with as we humans is shame and guilt about things we did, things we didn't do. We time travel. I often say this, that humans, it's very rare that we're present in this present moment. That's a game. Can you, and the challenge I throw out to everybody is, can you be present? Because in the present moment, right now, you can change anything in your life. You can make a decision in this moment today to change it. Call that person that last word you didn't have. Um, the regret that you feel over something. You can change everything around in this moment if you stay now. But humans, the average human, we time travel. We're rarely ever in the present. And typically, again, I say typically, when we go forward, that's when people feel anxiety and fear because going forward is unknown. You don't know what's next. So that's when we feel anxiety. When someone's anxious, it's not because they're in the past. If they're in the past when they're anxious, it's because they're concerned it's going to happen again, this thing, in the future. The past, though, when you're a time traveler in the past, you typically feel regret, feel some shame, feel some resentment, feel some of this, some of that. So again, decisions are made, the powerful decisions, the extraordinary decisions are made every second. Right now, as someone's listening to this, you might be motivated, and I hope you are, to pick up that phone, to sign up for that class, to start that book again that you've been wanting to write, to go to that class, the career that you wanted to get into, so on and so on. I'm hoping that this sparks you to finally start that fitness class. Call the trainer. That join the gym. It's September as we're speaking here. We're rolling into I call September the next new year. That's when people typically sign up for things, because their kids are going back. The lack of structure that you have over the summer is now going away, typically to more of a structured format because the kids are back in school. You get some free time back as an adult, so on and so on. You have a little bit of extra. And the fall comes in and all this kind of thing. So it's typically the new year now. This is the time to make a decision. Classes start again. Courses that you want to do starts in September. It's a nice time to roll into that new year, and then you have the new year coming up, the real new year. That's always some little refresher times to start. What decisions can you make right now in this moment to travel light? Dr. Charlie talked about it. He likes to travel. But what baggages are we taking through? Relationships. What baggages are you taking into the next one to so that other person pays the price for all the other relationships that you've done? They look like, they sound like that other person that you've had some bad time with. And now you're projecting it onto those people. Then you never give them a chance to become who they are. So, decisions. What decision in this moment can you make as you're listening to this? Go in your heart and think, where am I not fulfilled? What year am I not fulfilling? I might have all the money, maybe, but maybe relationships. Maybe it's um, education, something you always wanted to do. Paint. It doesn't have to be formal education. Learn a new language. Whatever. Where can you feel fulfilled enough to travel light? So remember, you cannot live the extraordinary life. And I have another wisdom. Remember, I call quotes wisdom because they are pieces that someone left behind. They took a whole life of learning and left it into one wisdom. Be the change you want to see in the world. Gandhi. I mean, that was a whole. Imagine what he went through to come up with that one quote, quote unquote. So I call it wisdom. So the wisdom that I want you to remember is this. I have it written on my board in my basement, in my gym. It says, so many people go out to live an ordinary life, but I want to live an extraordinary life. So many of us try to live a life that pleases the public, that everyone can, oh, you're a teacher. Nice. You are a lawyer. You are something they recognize and they can just move on. But rare is the person who says, I want to be a painter of something that's so different, or an abstract artist who does events. I don't know, you name it. You have this unique gift, 8 point odd billion of us. And, a large part of us, we're fortunate enough to live in a free world. But we want to fall into the norm where everybody recognizes what you do, and you make them comfortable. Well, in order to live that extraordinary life, you have to do some things that are not comfortable. The comfort zone is where everybody recognizes what you do. You're not special. It's a comfort zone. So what can you do? What decision can you make to break out of it? So Dr. Charlie, I'll pass that back over to you. Remember, you're mute, and we're rocking.
Yeah, it's amazing when you sit back and conduct some self reflection. What areas of the opportunity are there in my life to improve it, and not that the situation you might be looking at is bad. Not saying that at all, but at the same time, it's not extraordinary, right? So for me, I have four adult children. Well, how can I improve those relationships, right? I have very good relationships with all four of my kids, but what can I do to take those ordinary relationships to extraordinary? Well, there's steps I can take. Primarily, the time I spend with them. That's a big one. And then really getting to understand who they are as adults. I knew who they were as children, but people evolve, grow, and change. So how can I stay on that positive trajectory as my children grow and evolve, our relationship grows and evolves with it. That's a big challenge right there because it's easy to lose touch, right? Everybody's busy, children start having family, all the things, and our time together, physically or even over the phone, gets reduced. So, within the context of all of that change, what can I do to foster an extraordinary relationship with each and every one of them? And it can be done, but again, now it's an extraordinary effort on my part. It's beyond ordinary, it's extraordinary. So, it's so fundamental to the human condition. However, it seems as though so many people are unwilling to go that extra mile to make extraordinary efforts in their pursuit of an extraordinary life. And I think it's so rewarding though. And it's extra work, right? It's extraordinary work. It's extraordinary attention to detail. However, the rewards are extraordinary. With that, I'll pass the mic.
Dr. Charlie, you touched on a super powerful conversation that I've heard for decades now. When I listen to relationships, the death rattle, the death of a relationship, here it is. When you and your partner become glorified roommates, right? That means no intimacy, it's dead. No conversations. You sit, you come home, you watch the same show, sit on the couch. It becomes very comfortable because they fill a space. Your partner fills a space, so you're not lonely. But there's no spark. There's no passion. It's gone. You just again you become familiar with each other. Hey, cool. Yeah, I don't know if you even look at each other anymore, really and truly. So as soon as you hear that, they're like my roommate. It's over. It's over. And a lot of people do this at some point. I don't know when. It starts to fade and become that. Again, the intimacy goes away. We're too busy. We don't look as sexy anymore as we used to. That's how we feel. So we tend not to want to. We don't feel good. So we tend not to want to expose our bodies because it's amazing. You could be married to somebody for decades, and if your self-esteem is low, you still don't want, there's still a sense of rejection in a way. You just don't want to be rejected. So you kind of hide and, now you're just roommates again. No passion. So, and even if it's not in your personal relationship, your relationship with your kids, that can become very familiar as well. Because by the time the kids are grown, as you said, four, like myself, we have four. By the time they're grown, they move on to their life. You move on to yours. You kind of, as you get old, as we get older and we get our free time back, quote unquote, they don't need us as much. We can tend to, wander away, get into some stuff that takes up our time. And because now we have freedom again, quote unquote. So we tend to wander away, and next thing you know, years go by and we disconnect on a deep level. We still love each other, but you disconnect. So, when you think about those scenarios when it comes to relationships, the segment of relationships, what can you do? And it says decision. Dr. Charlie talked about decisions, and we're talking about decisions. What extraordinary, if you want an extraordinary relationship, because ordinary is roommate level, comfort is roommate level. Extraordinary is still passionate about each other, is still really good friends, best friends, where you can hang out with each other and still be excited to see each other. When you off, let's go. That's extraordinary. That's not ordinary. Um, how can you have that? That comes from decisions again. What decision can you make? What kind of spontaneity can you bring back? Right? You're heading home to usual, the huge, and you stop and instead of, hey, honey, get dressed, let's go. Do something spontaneous. You know, shake it up. What decisions can you make? Are you going to make the same decision, the same comfortable decision? Get home, get your sloppy self on that couch. Can't wait to get to that couch. Eat some dinner, watch some program at 8 p.m. to whatever p.m. 10, and drag your ass to the bed, and then call it a day. That's it. Pray for the weekend because midweek, just and I was talking to one of my clients, coaching clients, and he made me realize that a lot of times when you're in the midst of not grown kids, but kids who need you, single digit ages, 6, 7, somewhere around there, they're going to school. By the time you get them to bed, you're so tired and that there's no, by the time you put them in bed, you're just there. And weekends, it's like you feel like you're still on call because you still have the kids. So you can get into where even if they're home, you still feel on call. So it becomes this routine. And you can see how we can get into that dead zone of just never feeling optimal about where we are at because everything becomes routine. And instead of loving on the kids when they're home, you just can't wait for them to get to bed so you can have some free time. And this becomes that over and over again. So, what can you do it different? What can you do different? I used to remember when the kids were growing up, we do this often. Some kind of surprise. We would get to the airport and tell them we're dropping somebody off or doing something. We fool them in some way. And next you know, let's go, kids. We got tickets. And we're gone off to Cuba or wherever it might be. And then I would drive to New York City, Manhattan, and on Broadway. And we just drop in on Broadway, no hotels booked, nothing's totally spontaneous. And we just hung out and we stayed at the Doubletree. We went to shopping and just seeing the Broadway. So, what can you do that's a little different? Decisions, all about decision. You cannot get extraordinary relationships, extraordinary life by choosing comfort, by choosing the norm. That's just bottom line. So again, I invite you, I encourage you. When you're thinking about what I'm saying, if it's hitting you right, where in my life do I need that jump start? Where I've always made these ordinary decisions and wonder why I'm getting mediocrity. Give that some thought. Dr. Charlie.
Yeah, I had several thoughts cross my mind as you were speaking, Alvin. And one, I remember growing up when I was a kid, I was into baseball quite a bit, pretty good. I had some talent, and I loved playing catch with my dad. And go out there and throw the ball around. And and I was getting, stronger and stronger as the years went by, so that I could really zing some fastballs in there. And if I caught them the right way, it would sting his hand, right? We played burnout, and he'd throw it as hard as he could, and I'd catch it, but I'd always catch it in the web. And but then there was a point where I would ask him to go play catch, and probably 9, 10 years old at this time. And no, not right now. Now I'm busy. No, I'm tired. No, right now. Now I'm busy. No, I'm tired. And that was one of my best childhood memories with him. But it ended because he wasn't able to make that extra effort, right?
Mm,
That extraordinary effort to keep that going. And at
mm-hmm.
some point, I stopped asking, right?
There it is.
And it's just interesting. So, but what can we do to spice things up? To take an ordinary occurrence and make it extraordinary. So here's a here's some insight on that. So I think it was about a year ago. A friend of mine told me about this project he started, and it was a gift he ended up giving his wife for Christmas. And a year earlier, there's a journal out there. I think there's a journal specifically designed for this. I haven't looked it up, but I don't have a spouse. So if you do have a spouse, significant other, you might want to look into it. So this journal has 365 pages on it. And basically every day you write something in that journal about what you appreciate about your significant other. Something they did that day. Or maybe not even that day. Something just came to your mind and you write a little journal excerpt, right? We did that for 365 days. And then he wraps it up and puts it under the Christmas tree. And she opens it and she was very um, emotional about that, right? Because there's so many things that she does that, well, I just do that, but not realizing how much he did appreciate it, or the fact that he even recognized she was doing it, right? And so it was just and again, it's something ordinary, but he did it in an extraordinary way, and she's going to have that journal for the rest of her life, right? It's amazing. So I really love that, and it just shows you how you can take an ordinary process, do something extra, and get on the other end of it, receive an extraordinary outcome. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, I love that. Couple things I'm going to get from that. One, what you said is powerful. Don't want anyone to miss it. Eventually, you stopped asking. So, how many times have you had the opportunity to level up with your partner, maybe the boss at work or the client have asked you a couple times for opportunities to take something, or opportunities in life have come your way and you've said next time. And like Dr. Charlie said, eventually you stopped asking. Well, think about life. How many times have you had the call to do the hero's journey that, if everybody listening, if you go on the internet and you punch in the hero's journey by Joseph Campbell, you'll see that at some point everyone gets a call to adventure. And it's their opportunity to go over into the special world where all the magic happens. That's a part of the world where we admire these people because they've jumped into it. But you're going to be faced with challenges and allies and enemies, and then ordeal and death and all this kind of stuff. It's a trek over into this special world. It doesn't come for free, but it's worth it because it's a space where you should be. So, how many times have you got that call to adventure and you refused it? Oh no, next time. Not right now. I'm not ready yet. It's too scary. Eventually, it's like Dr. Charlie said, it will stop asking. And next you know, you sink into that ordinary comfort zone. And nobody's asking anymore. Yeah. So think about that. And secondly, Dr. Charlie said, extraordinary, when we talk about that, it's not doesn't have to be super sexy. It's simple things done regularly, but done with care. It doesn't have to be, you have to have all this money to do extraordinary things. No, it's acts of service, kindness, thinking out of the box, doing something different. You have no money. doesn't matter. It's the experience somebody walks away with. I mean, we've all heard of people with tons of money. Money's not a problem, but they create chaos in people's lives because they don't show appreciation to the person, or they don't know anything to do special with that money. They've had every opulence that they could have, but there's nothing special about it. So it doesn't have to be that you have to be a billionaire to create these experiences. It's just thinking out of the box. So I think we're pretty much, Dr. Charlie. Any last words on that?
So here's what my parting comments. What do you have to lose from putting out an extraordinary effort? What do you have to lose? You have everything to gain. So, and it's amazing that anytime that you do make an extra effort, even if it's not immediately rewarded, and I believe these are, laws in the universe, right? The positivity that we put into the world returns to us. And also the negativity that we put in the world returns to us. So why not make an extraordinary effort to bring positivity and light to the world? And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yes, I love that. And I'm going to finish with this. I heard this from Les Brown. Not sure if it's his original quote, but or wisdom he shared. But he says, "I want to live full and die empty." So Dr. Charlie asked, "What do you have to lose?" I don't know if there's anyone who is on their, maybe there is, but anyways, I don't know if anyone on their deathbed is ever going to look back and say, "Man, I wish I didn't do that courageous act." And I say, I pause because I want to make sure it's the right courage. So live full, die empty, be courageous. Life favors the brave. So what can you do? The parting question is reflect. Think about your life. Is there some part of you, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, relationship, that it just pops up right away? There might be many areas, but this one pops up. It resonates with you that you have left some on the table and continue to leave some on the table. And you just know you could do better. What can you do? That's the question. So we would like to think, so I'll finish off where we started. We would like to think that we can make an ordinary decision, ordinary, typical, predictable, and have an extraordinary life. But it's not true. Brian Holiday. All right, with that, Dr. Charlie, what's your parting one word, one idea, one word that you're going to leave with this week?
It's going to be extra, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just make it whatever we're doing. Take the ordinary activities that we're conducting each and every day, and pick one and do something extra.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Love that. I love that. And so mine then will be an easy one: courage. I love that word, courage. What can you do to show some chutzpah, some courage that you need to make that decision and do it? All right, everyone. Thank you for your time. If you love what we're talking about, please subscribe, share if you haven't yet, and let's build this community. Until next time, we leave you with this. We wish you peace, a whole lot of love. The world needs it, and a little sprinkle of soul, baby. All right, we're out. Later, everybody.